Pranams, everybody. Begin with a short prayer. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, you already know what to do. As suggested yesterday, we must get into that zone of divine presence. So connect quickly. I will not give any instructions. You already know what to do. Let us learn to get more and more silent. Activate the divine presence. So you can see the flavor of satsang also changes when we do this. Like you did yesterday, make it a habit. Satsangs are the best place to become active or activate the presence. You must have that habit to do it right at the start and stay through the satsang. And as discussed yesterday, this habit should be extended so much that it becomes living in divine presence. Yesterday, some of you also said that it's not possible, probably, to continuously be in that state. Yes, very true. Because if you are continuously in that state, you are self realized. So, we are not talking about that state of self realization where I'm telling you have to get into that and force that self realized state. It won't happen. As I told you, this is the first step to getting closer to what we are calling the self. If you don't take care of these things, as I told yesterday, you can forget self and self realization. You can see how all these various paths are already deluded. Having claims of self realization, you cannot claim, you cannot get there in that manner. We have to understand the fundamentals of this self and the fundamentals of what is other than the self. We are living in only two realities all the time. One is the real reality, and the other is the perceived reality. Real reality is the self, the soul, the consciousness. Perceived reality is I, the individual. So we are constantly fluctuating, not everybody. The ignorant are always sthit, they are installed in the false identity. Those who have become a little wiser or their buddhis have become a little more clearer, they keep fluctuating. That is the starting stage. They keep fluctuating. Sometimes the self and sometimes other than the self. So only two realities. One is the self reality, the state of pure awareness, and the other is other than the self, means other than awareness. What is there? Ignorance. So one is the reality of who am I, the other is the unreality of who am I, which I pretend to be. So living in falsehood means living as a husband, wife, brother, sister, mother, father, son, daughter. This is all the falseness of life. So, as I told you, on this path here or on this platform here, we are straight aiming to the reality. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Once you know what is real, then what is the point in abiding in the unreal? Is my question. Why are we wasting our time and why are we fooling others and fooling ourselves? Telling, claiming, or thinking that I am walking the path, and all that I do is completely that is against the path. If I am not remembering, or even if I'm not making attempts to remember the truthfulness of the path, what use is that path? We can throw it away. Who wants these wrong titles? That I am XYZ yogi or this aspirant, that aspirant, belonging to this path, this religion, doing this, doing that. Who wants that? What is there in those titles? Can you challenge all those titles and concepts and all that crap and go beyond it? Can you drop it like a shattered glass? If not, then stay in the false. Anything other than the self is false. Whoever it is and whatever it is, straight. So you have to learn to make this a habit to abide in the truth. That is satsang. Satya ke sang. Abiding in the truth of what is real. Even if you have not experienced what is real, at least what you understand and what you have gathered through your intellect. The wisdom that you have gathered from outside and the wisdom that is arising within you, they have to match somewhere. They will match somewhere. Sooner or later, it will match somewhere. Because the wisdom that you hear from outside is not different from the wisdom that is inside. That is why you can relate and say, wow. That is why you can say, oh, there is a point in what you say. Oh, there is a point there. There's something truthful in there. That appeals to your heart. And that is how you follow your heart. So, what you hear from outside, when it relates to what is inside, there's a spark. And the outside and inside is needed because sometimes the inside, when it is revealing to you, you might not trust it or you might not hear it. So, when you hear from outside, you remember it or you can align with it. You can say that I already know that. You have to know. Without knowing, you cannot say, wow, you got a point. You cannot say. Something from inside is confirming that something that is coming from outside is aligned. Then only you can say, wow. And that is how spirituality appeals to you. The messages appeals to you. The words that you hear or the books that you read or whatever you see from outside, it appeals to you. So outside wisdom is needed. This inside and outside is nothing but the two worlds that I'm talking again. Self and other than the self. Self is inside, other than the self is all outside. Your guru, your path that is coming from outside is an outside one. But there is a guru that is inside also, the real one. Sat Guru is inside. Sat Sang, Sat Guru. But you may forget it, like the wisdom I'm telling. You may forget it, or you might not relate with it, or you are simply deaf to hear your own inner voice. Inner voice is your Sadguru. When you can't hear that with due to the dull intellect, dull buddhi, then help comes from outside. And from outside, it might come through both, through sense, through touch, sight, hearing, taste, smell. So when the outer wisdom comes through anybody or through the guru or anything outside, it only relates to what is inside. Mature seekers, mature aspirants will understand this crystal clear. Because only after this understanding, there is a journey within. If you don't understand this, or if you say, no, I cannot relate with this, then there is a lot of work to do. Maybe a few more years or janmas to work till that extent where you ultimately realize everything is inside only. And until you come to a state where you cannot give up all your outside, you cannot enter into the inside realms. That's how the path is. So the journey is in our hands, in our maturity, in how much we have learned. And to learn, there is a lot of unlearning to be done. Learning truly means unlearning. Because what you have learned, yesterday we saw Tirumular saying that only the knowledge of the self is real, everything else is false. So, yesterday we discussed completely about Tirumular's views from the Tirumandiram on the self. So, we'll continue with that. Yeah, yesterday what he said, he calls self knowledge as genuine knowledge, and the rest is nothing but knowledge demented. Demented is mind demented or something that can make you mad. Unreal knowledge. What is unreal knowledge? Anything that's come from outside, however divine it might be. We have discussed this hundreds of times. Whatever comes from outside, however divine or pure or whatever you call it, until it is something related to the self, the knowledge of the self, Atma Gyan or Brahma Gyan, apart from this, all the Gyan are false. Yesterday we discussed that. Kaya Kalp, this Siddhi, that Siddhi, this power, that power, occult powers, clairvoyance, immortality of the body, all these vidyas which are there are considered false vidyas because the only one vidya is known as the self, knowledge of the self. Rest all is demented, what he's saying. So you can see even the words of Tirumular, if you see the whole Tirumandiram, it is completely based on different kinds of lot of things are there in that. Lot of things are there. You can say majorly everything is from outside. Like even siddhis are there. Kundalini yoga is there. Breath work is there. Mantra yoga is there. Nada yoga is so many things are there. But it is all only to get you within. Ultimately, to get you to the self, knowledge of the self. So, yesterday we talked about self realization and the divine vision. So, today, some points on what he says is how does self realization take place? Now, a question may arise, how does self realization take place? How is it possible that the self in me is the self in him and vice versa? Him means Shiva. Self realization can be achieved only when one can realize the immensity within one's soul as detached from one's ego. So, this is again the Tirobhava nature of Shiva. Soul and ego, two different things. Soul is what I really am, but I entered to play this game as per the concept of Shiva Sutras. And as I entered, I mean Shiva, the Supreme. As I enter to play this game, I cannot play it alone in non dualism. Can you play the game in Samadhi? Can you play the game in deep sleep? You cannot. Nothing exists there. To play the game, you have to wake up. And if you have to wake up and enjoy the experience of life, you have to wake up in the morning. When you wake up, what happens? The ego arises. Only when the ego is formed can you experience something called life. You can understand the whole concept of creation in this nothingness and somethingness, where everything is absolutely in the void, in the state of Nirguna Nirakara, Shivahood. There is no play. So, if the play has to happen, the chit has to arise, that is, the ego has to arise, and then the ego has an identity. So, when you wake up in the morning, you have an identity, you have a personality. And what happens is, the moment you have Anamala, the ego, I comes up, immediately the next subject will be the Maya Iman. Immediately, Maya will attack you, or you will come under the clutches of Maya. When you open your eyes, till then you are in sleep. When you open your eyes, whatever is in the Maya Jagat, whatever is false, you identify with that. Suddenly you become a father, mother, husband, wife, etc. That is Maya Imala. Why? Because Aham awake. Ego awakes, and next step, immediately it catches the Dvait. Till it is Advait, non dual, no problem. The moment it becomes dual, it catches everything that is in front of it because there is two game now. The two way has begun now, dualism. And that is all false. What is there in the Maya is false. What is real is when you go into the deep sleep, when you go into Samadhi, that is the real state of nothingness. So you wake up to play the game. You played the whole day as a husband, wife, son, daughter, friend, enemy. And when you're tired of the game, you go to bed and simply withdraw and go back into that nothingness. What happens when you go back into the nothingness? The whole withdrawal of the ego happens. From where it rose, it goes back there. And when it goes back, nothingness. So what happened in the morning? Ego arose. The moment ego arose, Maya. Suddenly you become something which you are not. An individuality which you are not. And then you start playing the game. Because the moment you identify Maya in front of you, you then start business dealing with them. A thought comes which is not there in Samadhi. But now, because the ego has arisen, the thought comes and you identify, you look with that thought and you play the game. You start interaction and reaction. So a thought comes, this is my wife, this is my husband. Immediately you start reacting with that husband and wife. Till then, where was the wife? Where was the husband? Have you ever thought about this? In deep sleep, where are all these relationships? So all the relationships comes up only when the ego awakens. Whenever, not only the morning, you can wake up at midnight also. And what happens when you wake up in the midnight? Think about it. The first is delusion. You are still not knowing where you are. It takes a couple of seconds for you to realize. Maya doesn't come like that. When the ego is awakening, Maya takes a little time to catch up with that, and then the dual nature appeals, and then you catch on and identify with all that is false. And the moment you do that, what happens at midnight? Thoughts begin. Whenever you wake up, you start thinking. Thinking on what? Thinking on the false. And the mind projects it as real. That's Maya. That's the power of Maya, illusion. The more you do it, the more that becomes your reality. The more you identify with any object as real, more that gets engraved in you. And what spirituality? To undo it. Are we getting this right? The path of self realization means undoing it. Where people fail miserably is the refusal to undo it, and yet wanting samadhi, wanting self realization. It's a very crappy idea. When the real work comes, we shy away. But we want the result of ultimate peace. Samadhi is peace. Liberation is peace. Self realization is peace. But we ain't ready to give up the false. That is where I'm stressing again and again. There is no mukti, no self realization without giving up this world. Are we getting that clear? Oh no, that scares me. Then go and sit. Go and sit in that world which you think is going to remove your fear. It's like you saying, I know the dream is false, but I love to dream. Go dream. Until we get this right, we cannot move an inch towards self realization. So I want to make it very, very crystal clear. All these things. So simply having ideas, writing down in your books and in your mind and dreaming about it, thinking about it, or thinking that it's you're moving somewhere. Because this self realization also, when it creates a picture in your mind, is another form of Maya only. Most of us are stuck in that Maya, another Maya. Just like you want to create a home of your own, palace of your own, a life of your own, a wonderful land of your own. Don't we all do that? Goody goody dreams and live happily ever after. Who doesn't dream that? And who has lived happily ever after? One person to be sure. But still we love these fairy tales and live happily ever after. So all our dreams that we chalk out on this paper is crappy. And there's no one to tell you that's an idiotic idea that you have. Happily ever after. Oh, you're being pessimistic. You being in delusion is the biggest pessimism. Whereas if I am telling you the right thing, I call that optimism because I'm optimistic of somebody breaking all their false dreams and waking up. For me, that's optimism. That's not pessimism. Pessimism is for the lazy bums. who love to brood in their own and crawl in their own fantasies and suffer day and night. I see plenty. Throughout my life, I've seen plenty of them and still see, even in spiritual seeking. That is why all these people with goody goody dreams never get peace only. They're never peaceful, however great sadhanas they do, because the idea itself is wrong. Poor thing. So, until you actually wake up to these facts, there is no point in pursuing another fantasy. So, like you write about a goody goody dream, do not write another story, fantasy story about self realization, and create another dimension of your own world where you say, I will go there, be realized, and live a very happy life. Now I will have better children, I will have a better family, I will have everything wonderful and peaceful, like Alice in Wonderland. Everything is going to be only fun and joy. That comes from some of your books, which talks about Swargaloka, heaven, Jannat. Lot of desires come from there. A place of no suffering, no pain. That's true. It is there. Those dimensions are there. Those lokas are there. But let me tell you, they are as temporary as your dreams. Like the bestest of dream that you dream also has a limited expiry time and date. So also all your lokas have expiry time and date. So if you think long term, you can become wise. If you think short term, you can become a fool. Look at our habits, we will come to know. In our daily life, what do we seek? Temporary happiness. One relationship that will give me something. You know it is going to cause pain, but you will go and jump in that only. You will dive into straight into that. Maybe one child, maybe two child, maybe a boy child. Something will give me happiness. Is going to give me happiness. And I know it is not going to be forever. Whatever I built in this world is going to be snatched away from me, even if I don't give it up. I know this in the back of my mind, but still I jump into it. So, if our habits are like this and we have lived our life like this, I wouldn't be surprised if we are thinking of those Swargalokas, where we are ready to go into that Swargaloka, knowing the temporariness of that. I was talking to Devi Amma. She's a very practical saint. That is why I love her. No akadam tikadam, no bade bade baate, no big teachings, no the claims, not even thinking I'm a saint. Who cares? Because a saint will not talk like that. She's just like an ordinary woman, a typical Amma living in South India. She is like a typical mother. But her only difference is she is a mother to more than her own daughter. She has one daughter and a family. But that is not her world. The whole world has become her children. That is a state. Yesterday we discussed that. Vasudeva Kutumbakam means not me and mine. You can be a better mother, you can be a better father, but it's not me and mine. Not limited. Now don't tell you I can become better husbands and wives. The whole world's wives are my wives, and more whole husbands are my husbands. You transcend all those zones. So when I was talking to her, she has always been very, very practical. She has doesn't have one limited idea. She accepts all religions, all faiths, everybody, all masters, all those things are there. Even those who hate her, she loves. That's one great thing I've seen about her. She was talking about somebody coming and regularly coming to her, asking for some kind of desires, hoping for some kind of desires, and asking to pray for that. And it is got to do with vasanas. He wants to experience the females, the world, and not one or two. Like he wants to just explore, and he says that's spirituality. Imagine somebody having the audacity to come and ask a saint, and that is the test of the saint also. And she's telling, "I pity this person. How much he must be suffering. Look at her." And she gave some remedies or whatever, and she said, "I will pray," because that's what they can do. So finally, according to what she was thinking, he went around having multiple relationships, one after the other, everything failing and disaster. That's what's going to happen because relationships are like that. यहाँ नहीं मिला तो वहां मिलेगा, वहां नहीं मिला तो वहां मिलेगा, सबके साथ लटके पटक के रहो, लटक पटक. We simply want to hang on and cling on everywhere. So that person did that and miserably failed and said, "Why am I suffering?" And she said, "You are suffering because it could be your past karmas. Maybe you have done all these things to them, and that is what you are getting from them one by one. All these relationships." He said he was very furious. She said he was very furious. And he started abusing her and all the gurus in the lineage. Said, "Agastya Appa, there's no one like this. Guru Mandala, they don't care about anything." His frustration, like what we do. When we don't get what we want, we will even blame God. God is unmerciful. So he was like that. Finally, he had to be relieved from there, that circuit. I was just imagining what took her so long. I mean, somebody going on praying, somebody going on giving remedies, and so much months and years pass, and then this guy never improves. And then you have to finally say goodbye to them. So I was telling Amma, why can't you do this right in the start only, nip it in the bud only? I do that. She's a saint. I'm not. She is full of unconditional love. She wants to help, but sometimes it can be at your own expense. Forget it. I don't want to be a saint. I'm happy not being one. And then she has always this advice for everybody. She says, as far as possible, say stay single if you can. If you cannot, then get married. But then if you get married, as far as possible, don't have children. If you can. But if you cannot, have one. Look at her. Step by step, your desires which is slipping out of your hands. How much can you hold on to? And she's not a fanatic telling, no, don't do it. Then do it, but try. Like Shiva says, Shambhopaya, try. If you cannot, you no, go down to Shaktopaya. If you cannot, that also go to Anvapaya. Kind, very kind. But he says try from the start. So she's also, I saw her. She always tells me, as much as so there is no hard and fast rule. As much as possible, stay single, you are free. and happy. But if you still feel no, that's a little difficult, then get married. But if you get married, again, you're happy and free if you don't have children. But still, if you can't, if you think that children are going to give you something, some future security, like your schemes, mutual fund, and insurance plans and stock market, okay, then invest, but invest only in one stock, not in multiple. Because more you invest, the more risk. All this life is a gamble. Wherever you invest your energy, there is risk, like stock market. Whoever it is, whatever it is. This is a straight message of saints. She says, even if you have children, you can now dedicate and devote your entire life to something else other than your main life. See, if you that's the risk of if you want to play the game. You can keep going farther and farther and farther and farther because you bring on new additional responsibilities into your lap and then sit telling this is my responsibility, this is my dharma. Who asked you to take that dharma? That dharma indirectly is nothing but my interest in the play. I want to play a little more, I go a little far, a little far, a little far. And what are we trying to do now? We are trying to say now detach, 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 detach. We create everything and then detach, detach. It's all my aiman. How difficult it is. The more investment, the more difficult it is. So the one who has realized it late, that yeah, I put a lot of investments. Like you may invest in a lot of share stocks or mutual funds or things like that. And then find out that out of the 10 different stocks that you bought or the 100 that you bought, 60 of them are not functioning well. Or out of the 10 you brought, 6 are not functioning well, 4 are doing good. A common sense person, what they will do is they will try to dispose that which is not working and balance it with that which is working to minimize the loss and gains. It's all on one's play. Or you might want to continue sitting with that another 10, 20, 50 years, thinking that tomorrow the stocks might change. All upon us how we want to play the game. Everybody in the stock markets play a different kind of game according to their mentality. The wisest who is seeing the stock market will never want to purchase or get into that stock market because there is lots of up and downs. There are profits, there are losses also. High risk. So if you want to play that game in the greed of some profits, what does it take? It takes your valuable time away. The more your time is taken by these investments, the more you'll spend your time in checking where your stocks has reached. You're simply keeping evaluating your stocks again and again. Your whole life can go in that. Compared to the one who has never gone to play that game, that person is more at peace. You check it out, who's more at peace? So life is also that way. Now, what about the people who have already invested ignorantly, not knowing it, but they realize the truth later? I would call them wise who have realized it later and now are taking steps to not make that mistake again, or finding ways how to dispose those stocks which are not creating any profits in whatever way. So, wise seeker will simply finish all these issues one by one, unresolved issues, cut off from everything that is not giving any fuel to your essence of life. A wise seeker will simply cut away all the weeds. An ignorant fool will continue with all that. Some might even say, I am a seeker and continue with all those investments. You can't leave even one string. No, my precious. There are hundreds of friends. In that, how many are valuable? How many are useful to your journey? How many are like psychic vampires eating away your energy? No, I want everybody. Keep the gamble up. Wise people will disconnect from that which is not serving the purpose and retain only that is serving the purpose. That too, knowing that also is temporary. That's the wisest way to do it. So, as one keeps on withdrawing from all that is unwanted, what remains is what is needed in life to grow, evolve. And then, with whatever is remaining, you very diligently work it out. That's what is called grahastha. Sannyasa has no problem. No stock market only for them. No investment, no stock market, no janjat. Right from start. Vairagi is there. Nothing to worry. Free, free from any fear. Look at them how they walk. Look at the way they live. No dependency on anybody, no clinging on anybody, no fear factor, no future investments, no anxiety, no depressions. What comes their way, they live. And they are giving a completion to their journey because now they have got enough time and energy to invest where they are supposed to invest. That is why the sannyasis 24 by 7 they have time compared to the grihastha who have so many other things to handle. Now, I'm not saying that is better or this is better. I'm just telling the pros and cons on the journey. So, grahast means somebody who has got stuck in the stock market, simple. Or somebody who cannot, like Amma says, if at all you cannot, if at all you can, don't take new steps ahead. So if I cannot, then I keep on moving. So most of the grass is that way. I cannot. Some or the other force. It might be the obligation. Not my personal wish only. It might be some obligatory also. My whole family wants me to get into this or this career or that career, and then I get stuck up in this. All this is karmic. When somebody pushing you is not pushing you without a reason. It's your own karma. So understanding all this, the karmic patterns, the karma mala, coming all out of the anamala, then maya mala, then karma mala. Wake up in the morning, identify with things, connect with them, maya, and then karma शुरू हो गया धंधा शुरू हो गया give and take and that karma only binds you. Anav does not, maya does not bind you. Karma binds you. Ego cannot bind you. Maya cannot bind you. But when you get connected to Maya, the ego gets connected to the Maya, and then you start a deal with it, that is what bonds you. Punarpi Janmam, Punarpi Maranam comes from there because karma happens, give and take. So if you understand the whole science of life, prevention is better than cure. Lot of things you can prevent. That is life of awareness. Person who is aware means the person who is aware of these truths of life. An unaware person can also be a seeker. Unaware person can be religious also. Look at a religious person and look at most of the spiritual person also. Most of the spiritual is what they do from morning to evening. Anamal, they are not aware. Maya imal, they are not aware. Karma mal, they are not aware. They do all this. Chakki piste rehte uske andar. And then in that they find some time, close their room and sit and meditate. And the moment they are out of their room or the moment they open their eyes, they are unaware. Ego is in action, Maya is in action, Karma is in action. What is the use? So the seekers of awareness means the ones who are really aware are true seekers. because that awareness keeps them alert in this journey. That is why yesterday we practiced divine presence. You saw in the start, only when you do that, you get disconnected from so many things. When you do that practice, only you get snapped, cut. Many things will get disconnected. Only that which is majorly you are connected, you will be there. Like maybe friends or work or family, friends, work or family, work. Only these things will be involved in. Rest all you will simply snap out. And then if you are in that awareness and deal in the family and in the work, you can still be like applying oil to your hand before putting your hand into the jackfruit. If you don't apply oil to your hands and open up a jackfruit, you're in mess. That oil is awareness. Living in awareness means putting the oil and then doing this work so that the dirt does not stick to your hands. So living in divine presence means that. That is why he is saying here self realization can be achieved only when one can realize the immensity within one's soul as detached from one's ego. One has to know which part is ego and which part is soul. Seekers of awareness. That shifting into awareness, when you practice, you will clearly come to know which part is ego and which part is the soul. You will clearly come to know that which is real and unreal, Sat and Asat. Sat is me, the divine presence, Asat is this body, and everything associated with this body. So, the more a seeker evolves, the more stronger this sense of differentiation will be there between the ego and soul. In the words of Sivavakya is a saying, the moment the I dies, it is achieved. It means self-realization. The moment the I dies, it is achieved. So you are basically achieving self-realization every night. Because every night the ego dies. That is a state of self-realization. Only thing you are not aware of that you are self-realized at that time. But you have gone into that state of self-realization. Or gone into the self but not realizing, not aware that you are in the self. Making it aware is self-realization. Making that same sleep conscious is self-realization. In sleep, you are not aware that you are sleeping. A self-realized person is aware. So he says it is simply the death of I, the aham. So what are we doing all these practices is to dissolve this I. So I have to first become aware of all these identities that I am holding on to. All the mental and physical actions of the human being are the expression of the I-ness. So all your mental activities and physical activities, mental karma and physical karma, this is all the result of I. Anything you think is the result of I. Anything you do is the result of I. From the Siddha point of view, this I-ness is the indication of a narrow expression of consciousness in which the real self has been isolated and remains unknown. So this state of I-ness from Siddhahood, the Siddhas speak about this. This I-ness is nothing but the isolation of the real I. You have isolated the real I. Isolated means not aware of the real I. Living completely in the wrong I, false I, is called the I-ness or ego. This is the Thirobhava nature explained in Shiva Sutras, where Shiva becomes less on purpose. Shiva becomes less, I becomes more. And that is where the drama happens. And then after some time, this reverses and Shiva becomes more and the drama goes less. That when Shiva is expanding, that is the spiritual journey that we are seeing. Slowly, we are realizing, who am I? It is happening automatically. That is the grace, Anugraha Shakti. That is why the interest to know myself, to know about the truths, to study about the truths, to work towards that. This work I am not doing. Okay, remember this always. It looks like the ego, is doing it. I want to eradicate my ego. This is the ultimate truth that I'm telling. How many of you can catch it? Catch it. Shiva Sutra truth it is. From this point of view, yes, we are doing this, we are doing that. We have to do satsang, we have to do japa, we have to do tapas, we have to do this, we have to go there, we have to eradicate this I, we have to take care of ourselves. Okay, all that good. But a very deep, subtle truth is that something makes you do that, and that also the ego only claims I'm doing it. I don't want to confuse you, but few of you will catch this. What I'm trying to say. That's the nature of Tirobhava, the nature of Shiva, which is unwinding itself, and everything is happening on itself. But these processes, what we are doing, is a part of the whole game. When the Shiva nature increases, when the light illumines, the falseness has to die, the shadow has to go away. So, these are those methods in which the shadows are going. Even the satsang is a method where the shadows are disappearing. So, that satsang itself is the Anugrah Shakti of Shiva. It acts like a medium, something acts like a medium and gets the work done, but I feel I'm doing the work. I, the sadhaka, am working on myself. How many of us feel that we are working on ourselves? We have a lot of work to do. Oh, I have a lot of work to do. If you understand Shiva Sutras, the real nature of enlightenment, this feeling that I have work to do is Anugraha Shakti. It's called grace. When the time comes, the Tirobhava nature of Shiva has to increase, these kind of ideas start coming into the head. And then you go about doing a lot of things, but you forget why and from where is this idea coming into my head. That is the hidden nature of Anugraha. Those incidents, negative incidents of life, which pulls us deeply into this subject, makes us try to understand myself. I want to understand myself. I sometimes I'm not understanding what is this drama of life. So much of pain and suffering. I don't know why. Tirobhava, Anugraha Shakti of Shiva. That is why I say all suffering is nothing but grace in disguise. Because if suffering was not there, you will never turn within. Sometimes it comes in small doses, and if you don't listen, the doses will increase and you'll get a big dose. Extreme suffering is extreme grace because it will straight turn you to your real nature. Imagine if this grace was not present, you would have gone on expanding the I forever. There is no point of return. Can you imagine if the I was always fulfilled in the temporary falseness? A great career, a great relationship, a great future, a great body, great abundance, everything there, and no end to it. Within no time, a man will become a Rakshasa, Asura. Imagine if there was no death, only abundance. only prosperity, only happiness, and no death. This whole world would have become hell, because death is the fear that prevents man from doing a lot of things. If there is no death, there is no extent of what man would have done. Imagine knowing that there is death, man does all these things. Knowing that man is going to die, he's simply spending his whole life in investing, in creating, in expanding, what all, holding everything, and in very next second he might conk off. Knowing this also, a man is jumping so greedily into all this. Imagine a state where there was no death and he knew he's never going to die. So now you tell me, is death grace? Is it a boon for mankind? It's a great boon. The craze of immortality, the greed of immortality. Man knows he'll die, but still you can see how long. One janma, one more 100 years. Forget 100 years. Some can even do anything for expanding their life for even 1 year. Forget 1 year, 1 month, 1 day. You have seen stories, right? Yamdut stands in front and he says, give me 1 day. He said, not one kshana I can give you. No pleading. Give me 1 day, because whatever I have not done, all those things I want to do in that 1 day. 1 minute. This greed of extension is always there in man. And it doesn't want to leave even a bit. Even if it is 1 minute extra, nobody will say, no, I don't want it. They will grab it. Chalo, 60 seconds to 60 seconds, de do. It will be like that situation. The one who has understood this doesn't care for it. Not 1 minute, not 100 years, not one janma. They are mumukshas. They don't even want another janma. Can you see that equation? And there are people who want multiple janmas, but all sukha janmas. So many are busy investing in punyas. For what? Holding for the next beautiful janmas that they want. Many get into punyas for the greed of Swargaloka, accumulating only merits, because they want the bhoga. They want to exhaust that. This is the craziness of man. But you do not know any extension is a shapa, curse. When Alexander came into India, he was crazy behind immortality. All that he wanted is immortality. Now you understand why Alexander would want immortality. What has he done in his whole life? Expansion. Expanding his kingdom. More and more followers. More and more slaves. Power. The greed for power. Dominance. How do you get power? Go on invading. Invade other paths. Invade religions. You have seen the religions invading? Convert them here. The greed for dominance. I would call them, they are the most dangerous religions and dangerous paths that want to expand, because it shows their subtle ego, subtle power for dominance and control over others. Only the paths who want to liberate others are the true paths. Rest are only capturing markets. I don't care if it hurts you. Let it hurt your ego a little more. And all the egos, all the divine egos who are floating around in this false hope. That's the catch of Mahayimala. Doesn't spare even the best. It only gives us an opportunity to think and rethink of how careful and how cautious one must be on this path. That is why it's called the razor edge path. So Alexander came here and he wanted immortality. Most of them want immortality. Why? To live forever so they can satiate all those desires forever and ever and ever, happily ever after. And he came here hunting for some siddhas, and through his power and dominance tried to even dominate other holy men. When he failed, he came to know that his power is useless in front of the power of God, because the God's power is ultimatum. There's nothing, nothing more than that. No one is greater than God, however divine they are, because they are all created from that source. So when he understood that he cannot fight, he cannot win just like that over everyone, he surrendered and he said that I had come here in search of something, if you can give me, O Holy One. And he said, what do you want? That I want immortality, never want to die. And he says, okay, that's all. That's their way of saying. Go to so and so place and there is a stream flowing, the flow, the water of immortality. Go and drink from that water and you will know the secret of how I have become immortal. Because this man was tempted by the immortality of that whole holy sage, because he saw that he was hundreds of years old, the sage. So he wanted to know, how can I also be hundreds of years old? So he said, okay, this is the secret. Go and drink that immortal waters and you'll be there. And Alexander takes his whole army and goes there. And when he nears the spot, he asks the whole army to stay back. I'll go alone. But obviously, yeah. The one who wants everybody to be free will take everybody to that immortal. But the one who is very selective, only me and mine can go there, and will ask everybody to wait back, stay there. Let me and my people only go there. And Alexander was even not even me and mine. He was only me. There everybody stopped. And he went alone. Went to those waters alone and saw the waters and was thrilled. And he said, finally, I got what I wanted now. And he was about to drink the water, and a crow was sitting there and it started crying. The crow started cawing. And it was literally saying, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink. He looked at it, again ignored it in his greed and wanted to drink again. And the crow warned, don't drink, I'm telling you. It's not a blessing, it's a curse. Alexander is shocked. Why is this person saying this? Says, listen to me. Look at my plight. What happened to you? I once drank from this, and it is thousands of years that I drank water from this, and I became immortal. So, isn't that good? How can it be good? Thousands of years back, I had my whole clan here. My family was here, my friends was here, everybody. One by one, they all disappeared, and I'm not disappearing, I'm here. Then another set came. I was with them, they also disappeared. People keep coming and going, but I'm here, stuck in the miseries of life. Got so fed up that I want to take rest now. Try to commit suicide. I'm not able because I'm blessed by immortality. What do I do with this life? This is a curse. I can't rest. Alexander drops the water, something happens to him, he gets enlightened there. That is how these desires are of immortality and all this. Whatever we think, we get something. We don't know the pros and cons. We might want to be around for long, but indirectly we are telling we are ready to pay the price. But when the price comes, we are not ready. It's very much suffering. That is why people you can see are stuck in this conflict of opposite reactions. I'm sure all of you must have felt it some or the other time or are feeling it also. But I want to live long. I want my problems to get sorted out. But the more I live and the more I enter into new ventures, the more problem comes. Sometimes you want to end it all and just have peace. But on the other side, something prevents you and says, gaining more is peace, living more is peace. So you want to live and you want to die. When you close your eyes and you want to die, you remember of your loved ones and you open your eyes. When you open your eyes, you are in so much suffering, you want to close your eyes. I'm sure this is a very common thing. Somebody had asked me just a couple of years back when I was disgusted and frustrated in spiritual life. Just a couple of years back. Feeling completely stuck and where the hell am I? What's all this nonsense? Only praying that it ends. Not interested in anything. Just want to get rid of. My whole night and my whole end prayer is to the mandala to take and give me shelter there, wherever they are. But not this Bhuloka. Enough. But then something keeps me going again. So somebody asked me once, how are you? And I am not a person who will say I'm fine. I'm not conditioned to say that. Whatever is there, I will tell. That's my habit. Whatever is inside, I will tell. Why fake anything? Who cares? So I said, when he said, how are you? I said, I'm not fine. I said, what happened? I told him simple thing. प्रारब्ध मुझे जीने नहीं देती और कृपा मुझे मरने नहीं देती. This is my situation right now. Can you help? He ran away. Means my destiny does not allow me to die and grace does not allow me to live. That is my condition. Can you help? He ran. This is most of our conditions. It's not a very single minded. Most of us are in this. Most of us don't want only prarabdha. But you can't fathom the idea of no prarabdha. Then what I'll do? Many cannot see. The other day I was having an interview. Some pop singer, not some, he's a nice guy. Now he's no more sign. He is Sukhdev. He is a pop singer. I don't know him. He approached me. He used to live in Kenya. Now he's in India. And then he gave up his music career. He's into spirituality. He teaches Advaita and all. Then he came across me. He wanted to interview. I said, okay, fine. So when I was in Bangalore, 2 hours, he took my interview. That will come on his channel or something. So we were having a very nice talk, deep talk on Advaita and all these principles. So there we were talking on this similarity. He's also having the similarity idea because he's dealing with a lot of people in Advaita. The reason he wanted to uh, take that session with me was because of his deep interest in Advaita. So some of his videos he picked and he found that this is very authentic for Advaita. And he said it's very rare. Somebody is actually pinpointing the most genuine aspects of Advaita. So I want to know your ideas about this. So I gave him all the things. So there we were talking on this, where he said, I come across people who want to be self-realized but want to exist. Self realization means your existence is no more there. Your individuality is gone. And the moment you say individuality is gone, you mean to say, I'll go, I'll disappear. What will happen to me? So that me doesn't want to die. That me wants to exist in some or the other format. So here it is very clear that people are disillusioned about self realization. They have wrong ideas. It's like Alexander's idea of immortality. So that is the reason we are doing these kind of sessions where again and again I'm trying to educate people on what this stuff called self realization is. It is not a state to attain. Go and attain self realization. Like Alexander, only Alexander can talk like that. Go and win over, gain self realization, because that is a feather in the cap. Here we are talking about no feathers, no cap. So that might be a little difficult idea for us. So becoming very practical on this is very important. Do I really want this? Is this what I'm really seeking? Or am I really seeking the world and the things outside there in the name of self realization? Think about it. So that is why he says all the mental and physical action of human being are the expression of this I-ness. Till the time I is there, you will find yourself doing this, doing that, thinking this, thinking that. The highest spiritual attainment is to make the restricted I completely absorbed in the supreme I. So now he's calling restricted I, means the conditioned I, the false I. This has to be absorbed completely in the supreme I. Supreme I is that soul consciousness, what we are talking about. Shiva consciousness, what you're talking about. And Shiva again, without an identity. This also I'm very particular. Because Shiva consciousness means सारे हिंदू खड़े हो जाएंगे. Wrong idea. Completely wrong. It has nothing to do with your mantras, with your Namah Shivaya. It is not that if you say Namah Shivaya only, Shiva will be flattered and gain you entry. Namah Shivaya are the five elements. So if somebody is even purifying the five elements or conscious and aware of the five elements without saying Namah Shivaya also, they are in that zone. Let me get that straight. This is not a state of annihilation of the self because self is immortal. So it has nothing to do with finishing of the self. It is a self emptied of profane desires and worldly attachments. We have heard this 100 times. Now I think we have to only hear it from Tirumular himself. It is a state where you empty all your profane desires and worldly attachments. So just imagine that state where you have no worldly attachments and no desires. Then you can assume what is self realization. If you have any idea in your head about any worldly object or any worldly desires or any desire, even spiritual desire, whatever, if those things are there, then you're not talking about the self, you're talking about something else. You can say you're talking about the ego self only. So it's a state minus all desires and worldly attachment. Like Nityananda puts it in Chidakasha. Immortality can be experienced only when the self is free from the bondage of I-ness. This is true immortality. Immortal means that one, the soul, that is you, that never has birth nor death. It was always there, but you are not aware of it. You are aware only of the identity because that is what appears as real. So you have never experienced that which you cannot see or know. But that little nature is hidden within you that will sooner or later reveal itself. The more and more this falsity starts reducing. That also is Kripa, Anugraha Shakti. Timely it will happen. Because that's the nature of the Tirobhava Shakti of Shiva. We are now in the process of unwinding. Unwinding is happening. So, what is there to do? Nothing is there to do, just be. The doer will struggle to do. Once you understand the secret of Shiva Sutra, there is nothing to do. It is all unwinding by itself. You simply observe the journey and enjoy the journey. The one who has understood this is free. The one who doesn't understand will get entangled in all the things to do this and that and desperate to get somewhere. To get somewhere means still in the wrong boat. You have to get nowhere, not somewhere. The individual self does not exist independently of the higher self. It is not a separate entity. Indeed, there is no thou, nor I, nor other. In the supreme state, the I in the human being and the he have become one and the same. So there is nothing called you, me, I, that, they. These are all because of Maya Imala. Ego comes out and it sees falseness and it starts saying I, you, they. In reality, none of these exist. Tirumular is emphatic that there is no I and mine. That is why we are telling take baby steps. If you want a beautiful way the journey to unwind, then you can simply observe this I and mine disease, the disease of I and mine. I comes, mine comes. I is Anamala, mine is Mayamala. Both together, one after the other. If I does not come, mine will never come. If I don't feel I'm a father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister, I cannot have those which I call as mine. Then you'll say, my son, my daughter, my father, my mother, my husband, my wife. They became yours because you appeared. So until you hold to an identity, you cannot link to anybody's identity. Please understand this. How we try to get detached is we try to get rid of detached attachment and say, no, I cannot be in this. I don't want to feel I'm that is my son or that is my daughter or that's my father, mother. I don't want to feel that. You cannot do that because if you don't want the mind to catch you, the I should go first. Anamala should go, then only the Mayamala will go. So the root is in that I. I आया तो मायना. So the simple steps we can live in daily awareness is this awareness, at least this awareness that will help support this eternal truth. Otherwise, if you don't even have this much awareness and you are jumping into self-realization, you are going to be badly inflicted by the disease of I and mind. Then you will struggle to achieve liberation or self-realization. There is a struggle, there is a desperation, there is a frustration. That is why many are frustrated because the more they do, they find the more far their Shiva is going. Their Shiva is very as far as Kailash and where you sit. So those whose Shivas are sitting on Kailasha will always be far. Those whose Shiva is sitting within them. So Tirumular says in one of his poems, I sought him in the terms of I and you. But he that knows not I from you taught me the truth. I indeed is you. And now I talk not of I and you. Tirumandiram is all like this, poetic. ये तो फिर भी somebody has translated it a little more. It is all in Tamil. He's saying, I sought him, I sought the Lord in the terms of I and you. I sought him that I am here, you are there. Oh Shiva, come. That is how I sought him. But he that knows not I from you, but he, that one which knows not that he is different, I am different. He does not know that separation. For him, it's all one. And I am calling out to this one who doesn't feel any difference. I am feeling different. That's my ignorance. So ignorant person will only have ignorant gods and ignorant prayers. They will always be in the I and you. Oh God. That is what Tirumular yesterday's session we saw. That he regrets being ignorant once upon a time and later is happy being wise. So that is why he says, I sought him. Means once upon a time. I sought him in the terms of I and you. I am here, your Lord. Oh Lord, please hear me. Please help me. Or please take me into you. Two people. But he that does not know this difference taught me the truth. Means Shiva taught him the truth. What is the truth? I indeed is you. The Lord is saying, I am only you. Whom are you saying? You and me. Whom are you calling as other than you? I am only you. And now I talk. So now he has realized. So now Tirumular is talking. Now I talk not of I and you. So I don't talk as I and you anymore. One, 4 lines. That's all. The whole wisdom is given. So this is the ultimate truth, what we are aiming at. But this Anav Mala and Maya Mala will not allow you to realize this truth. How much ever we tell you, this saint said that, this scripture said that, you will still at the end of the day, oh God, you look up. Where is your God? Up. Where up? You also don't know, but up. Why? Herd mentality. All the herd does like this, up. All from childhood, all that you have heard from people when they say God is up. So you also look up. Manne wale, believers. You believe from others' belief. God is up. Have you seen? Have you experienced? No. I am a believer. जाने कभी नहीं मानते आए तो देखो ऊपर. Where is God? In the temple. So that all comes because of your outwardly infliction. You are badly conditioned by the world. The world has hypnotized you. I remember Ramana saying something about hypnotism. I'm laughing at literally thinking. Somebody said if you go and sit in this guy's satsang, he will hypnotize you. The people who are badly hypnotized, they don't want to de-hypnotize people to be de-hypnotized. And I will de-hypnotize till you are around. I will surely do that. That's my responsibility. If you don't want, run for your life. Okay, so here Ramana is telling, abide in the self, be yourself, to be one with yourself is everything. Bhagwan Ramana is repeatedly asking us to cast away, sweep away, rather than add, acquire, accumulate. So he's simply telling, remove, remove out all the ignorance. Don't keep on adding, even intelligence, new teachings, new ideology, new concepts. He's telling just take it away. Not to become anybody, but to just be yourself. He is indeed the supreme prophet of being. Somebody is writing about Ramana. So, to be oneself is to be ever fresh, to be ever born, to be ever reborn. To be still in the repose of one's heart is the acme of creativity. Maharishi would tell us not to make any effort to give up imperfections or unreality. If you affirm the positive, the negative will drop away by itself. So, this is what we normally, I've talked on this before also, that only being optimistic, good thoughts, think about good and the bad will go away. This is one school of thought. Whereas Ramana is not in these kind of favors. He's asking, what is negative? Once the Maharishi said, if there is no God within you, be assured there is no God outside you also. Now, in and out philosophies. He's telling if the God is within you, not within you. If you can't find it within you, you can never find him outside you also. If he's not within, he cannot be out because God is supposed to be everywhere. And you are failing to find him inside. If you fail to find him inside, then he is not outside also. If there is no truth within you, there is no truth outside you also. So somebody said that is the negative concept of truth outside of you. The truth that is within you, nobody can take from you. That is the positive. So here he's saying that we are always dealing with the names and forms, and from accumulated knowledge, the mind projects the concept of truth. So here also, all these concepts of truth, he says. So many teachings, so many preachings, so many religions, so many paths, all having different concepts of truth. You catch hold of this concept, you will start projecting new projections of truth. That is why we are talking here about giving up all the concepts. Maharishi says names and forms are like the film projected on a white screen. You are the white screen, you are not a concept. This that you are reading is immaterial. The living principle, the one who is reading it is the truth. So beautiful. The reading principle, whatever you are reading, whatever you are looking at, whatever you are checking, whatever you are learning is all false. But the learner is the truth. That one who is existing and looking out desperately for remedies, those all remedies are false, but the one who is looking out is the truth. Means abiding. This is telling about abiding in the. Some of you might not relate to this, huh? It's okay. This is a little deep. This is a level 3 talks, phase 3 talks. Somebody asked Maharishi, is it not hypnotism that you're talking about? Maharishi laughed and replied, you are already hypnotized, that you are the body, that you must make an effort to reach somewhere. Isn't it? All that you have learned till now, I got to do this and that. So Ramana is telling that is only you are hypnotized already with new concepts. So many concepts you have built. And if I touch those concepts, you will weep. And Ramana says, what I am telling you is to dehypnotize yourself from all these concepts. Perfect sync, what we talk with. So the only work we need to do here is to dehypnotize ourselves from all these kind of concepts. Hundreds of concepts. Until you don't give away what you have learned from your elders, from your teachers, preachers. All those things are not going to take you to that zone of nothingness. Nothingness means nirlamba. You have to drop everything, dehypnotize. Don't take pride in your hypnotized state. I know it all. This is my prized possession. But because it has come to me from my past, it has come to you so that you be led to that zone where you get dehypnotized. These are all very deep thoughts, deep thoughts. Not all of you might relate to it, but that's okay. Whoever can relate to it, anugrah. That's the blessing of the Lord that you can even take interest to understand this and conceive and perceive something which is beyond the mind. Because till now we have done only mind work. Now the time is to go beyond the mind. The mind has to be dropped because all the concepts are in the mind. But yes, as I told, this cannot be told to the entire world what we are talking. This is the phase 3 level of people where when somebody reaches to that ripeness, from there they can just catch on these hints very clearly. Very sukshma it is. Sukshma teachings. They can simply catch on the hint and simply work on it. That's all. Nothing else to do. But to those who cannot fathom it, those who find it very disturbing or still, you know, still I need more evidences, then there is work to do. Then that can be done. No problem. And there are also people, because we are all, it's a community, right? It's a whole world of all states of consciousness. So we are talking to everybody. And some might not even understand what's all this about. Some tell me, "Well, this is too much for me to understand." The funniest thing is they sit for 6 hours, 5 hours, and then they tell this is too much for me. I tell them if it was too much, you would have gone in the first 5 minutes or half an hour. Because you can digest it, you have sat here for 5 hours. Mind will not agree that. But that's how the flush, the shower of wisdom simply every time seeps out the mala, impurities, ignorances, little by little. That's the power of satsanga. It simply washes away all that which is not for your highest good. Sometimes you have to be washed thoroughly, again and again, repeatedly. Sometimes the dirt or impurity or ignorance is too strong in our chitta. So it needs more of flooding. So repeatedly, when you expose yourself to the flowing grace of wisdom, sooner or later, it starts losing its grip on your chitta. That is the power of satsanga. This Tirumular calls is that Sanmarga. Sanmarga. Sanmarga means the path of jnana. See, he's also talking about jnana only in the end. So the Tirumular calls the method or process of I becoming he as Sanmarga. Sanmarga means the path of virtue. Marga of sun. Sun means virtue. See now, the term Sanmargi, he uses the term Sanmargi. Sanmarga means the path of virtue. Gyan Marga is the path of virtue. And those who follow this path, he is calling it as Sanmargi. Now, don't get into it. Okay. Even if you are following it, don't put another label. Oh, I am a Sanmargi. Like we are selling, no Salambi now. From today, I am a Nirlambi Yogi. That's another concept. You must take use of the concepts and drop the concept itself. That is the whole idea. Make use of the wisdom, and once you have used it, drop the wisdom. That's the whole path idea about Nirlamba. The term Sanmargi, as used by Tirumular, is equivalent to the word mystic. Sanmarga is the path of illumination, which makes the yogins to realize that he is none other than Shiva. You see? And Tirumandiram and Shiva Sutras are deeply embedded. Okay? I repeat, Tirumandiram of Tirumular is based on the foundation of Shiva Sutras only. You can say, probably, I have a feeling that Shiva Sutras, Kashmir Shaivism, it became prominent. Through Kashmir Shaivism, it entered Shiva Sutras in the north. But if it had to be taken to the south, I believe Tirumandiram is that. Tirumular went to the south. You know how Tirumular went there. The story of the Siddha flying from north to south because he was sent to south with a mission. And as he was going, he saw some cows, and the cows were sad. When he looked, he saw one guy is fainted there. The shepherd had fainted or had died. He thought it is fainted. When he moved closer, he saw the shepherd had died. And the cows were sad because whole day had passed and they had to go back home. Now this guy only who brought the cows there had died. How? A snake had bitten him. So this Siddha who's flying sees and he comes down. This happened in Tamil Nadu, in a place called Tiruvadadurai. It's towards Chidambaram. I've been there in those places. I've meditated in those places where Tirumandiram was written. Tirumular was in that place. Tirumular then vanished inside Chidambaram, the Chidambaram temple. So he did a lot of work in that place, Tiruvadadurai. And this incident where he saw this guy fallen and he wanted to help them. He had karuna. So compassion, he said, let me enter into this body and make this body alive, and then I can take the cows back home, leave them in a safe place, and then come back, take my body, and continue with my mission to the south. Saying so, he left his body in a tree log, he hid it there, and through the process called Parakaya Parvesh, where Parakaya means beyond the body, you come out of your own body and enter into another body. That is called Parakaya Pravesh. He enters into the body of this cowherd whose name is Moolan, and he becomes alive. The cows are very happy, and Moolan takes the cows home. Actually, Moolan has died, but now it is this Siddha who has entered into Moolan, and he takes them home into the village, makes sure the cows are safe, and then as he's about to leave, the villagers comes and catch hold of him because he has been missing for long. Nobody knows he has died. And they were all waiting. His wife was waiting for him. And the moment they see him, who is not the cowherd, he is the Siddha. So they don't know. So the wife doesn't want to leave him now, telling now you don't go. And he becomes stuck there. So for many days, he is unable to leave the village and his body is lying there. So one day, he goes back somehow to escape, to get back into his own body, and then he goes and finds that his body is missing. Siddha's body is missing. So what will he do? He has no other body now. So no other option but to live in this body of Moolan. Goes back to the village, disappointed, and continues living like a coward every day, taking the cows again there. And whenever he brings the cows, he meditates. And slowly the people find a different change in Moolan. He's not Moolan. So this guy actually starts radiating this wisdom because he's a Siddha. And people come to know of his powers. They know he's our Moolan has become someone. So they name him Tirumular. That is how Tirumular came to be there. Later, it was revealed that it was the plan of Shiva that the body was taken away. Because that is how he was implanted in the south with this divine mission. And then Tirumular continued meditating in that place. He lived for 3000 years. He used to be meditating on the mountain, and once in a year, he would come down the mountain and talk only one line. One full year experience, one line. That one line only became Tirumandiram of 3000 verses. 3000 years, 3000 verses, in which is hidden the whole mysticism of life and beyond. That came to be known as Tirumandiram, is what I am reading now from. And when I investigate into Tirumandiram, I see nothing but Shiva Sutras. So, according to my perception, this is what the Lord has done to bring Shiva Sutras to the south. North, it is already revealed through Abhinav Gupta ji, Kashmir Shaivism. Tirumandiram has deep foundation in that. So I'm just taking a few phrases where we get the ideology of what we are doing. What is our ultimatum? Only reading those things. But the whole basis comes from there only. So this he calls it as Sanmarga, which makes the yogins realize that he is none other than Shiva. That is what we are on the mission, to realize that we are none other than Shiva. We know it from wisdom, but we are out to experience. That is only the part of this journey. That's all that is left. So it is called Shivaneri in Tamil, means the way of Shiva. A Sanmargi is called by Tirumular as Siva Yoga Siddha. And Sanmarga is called Siddha Yoga. Sanmarga leads to supreme bliss. Now, I'll end with this. The whole basis of this Siva Yoga Siddha is the same concept of I becoming He, merging the I into that He. So he writes a few lines. When you scorch impurities 5 and listen to the voice of silence, you become a pure mukta, and I and you in one merge. And by the unsullied grace Jnana grants you, you shall joy of the bliss divine. Verily, then by Sanmarga path, you become He indeed. This is like a poem. This is all from Tirumandiram, what he wrote. One lines. One verse, sorry. Did I say one line? No, it is one verse, not one line. One verse every year. So this is like one verse. His full realization of 1 year of tapas, he will say in one verse. So here he's telling the meaning, the 5 impurities. When you scorch the 5 impurities, what are the 5 impurities? Now see. Anava, Karma, Maya. 3 हो गया शिव सूत्र. Anavamal, Karmamal, Mayamal. And then other twos are Mayai, the results of that illusion, the results of the delusion. Results of the delusion are what? What is the delusion? Mayaimal. What is the result of the Mayaimal? You become a father, you become a husband, you become a wife, you become a daughter, you become a son. That is the result of that delusion. It's considered as one of the impurities, the fourth impurity. And the fifth impurity is Tirodhai. What I am saying, Tirobhava nature of Shiva, the concealment. where Shiva conceals himself and the I comes forward. That I, then that concealment, that is also considered as one of the impurities. That is known as Tirodhai. So when these five impurities are removed, that is Anamal, Karmamal, Mayaimal, Mayaye, that is a result of the delusion, and the Tirodhai, this concealment, where Shiva is concealed. These five mala, when it is removed, you become a pure mukta. Means you are a liberated being. He also says that Sanmarga merges I in you. I is merged in you by transcending the limits of Turiya state. So this merging of I into you or Shiva is done by transcending even the Turiya state. What we do is we go and remain in the Turiya. Here he is talking about Turiya Teeth, because Shiva lies in Turiya Teeth, in all the states beyond. He is beyond Samadhi, beyond Turiya. According to Tirumular, Sanmarga gives the Jiva the rest that knows no commotion ever. See, this is the rest. Again, it's linked with what I said. We want rest. We want peace. That eternal peace that we search for can be got here. But when we translate that eternal peace into ignorance, we call that death or suicide. Every person attempting suicide or even thinks of suicide is thinking actually of nothing other than peace. So it is okay to have suicidal thoughts. An aware person knows that this suicidal thoughts or this feeling of I to end is a subconscious message of the ego to end. Ego wants to die. How can you translate this? Ego has to die or ego wants to die. When ego wants to die, is it any different from I want to die? Who's the person who's saying I want to die? The ego, that person. Actually, who's wanting to kill himself? The ego. So actually, the ego is wanting to die, which is a good symptom, but it is not in the way they think. They think the ego is the body. So if they get rid of the body, they will have peace, which is false, because that is not right. Ego is not just the body. Ego is that feeling. It's an entity which has taken an identity which does not die with the body. Body can fall apart, but the ego can survive. This is the jnana we need to attain. Those who do not know this will attempt to finish body in order to attain peace. If they can't finish the body forever, they will try temporary methods of giving the body peace by taking sleeping pills or going to sleep or intoxicating themselves through drugs or any sedatives or alcohol and things like that. What are they trying to do? They're trying to numb the body or numb the body through different habits. It's all an indirect seeking for this ego to be curbed. बहुत शोर करता है, गोली मार भेजे में भेजा शोर करता है. See that song also? It became a hit. Why it became a hit? Because सबका भेजा शोर कर रहा है. They love it. Idea is good. भेजा गोली मार भेजे में means shoot the brain. Put the bullet into the brain because the brain is making a lot of noise. So an ignorant person will want to end the noise with a bullet, and the wise person will want to end the noise with Bhairava. That's all. Both are aiming for the same goal, but one is disillusioned, the other is illumined. So those who are awake and enlightened know that Bhairava can end the noise, not the bullet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudayachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we all be blessed, may we all evolve, may we all be free. See you then. Whenever the next satsang, we'll meet. Stay blessed. Bye.